Welcome to Unjaded. Before we get into the episode today, I'd love for you to hear from Andrea. Andrea is a graduate of the Content by Design course, and she has been using her messaging to fill her books. She now has a 100% close rate, and I think it's really worth listening to her for about a minute. And then we'll get into the episode today, which is really meaty. It's going to walk you through how to use your human design profile in your business so that you too can create the kind of content that brings you paying clients with ease and without feeling like you're a slave to the algorithm. Here's Andrea.
Hey, my name is Andrea Slate, and I'm an online business manager and a recent graduate of Content by Design. Now, I joined Content by Design because as an online business manager, my job is to work in other people's businesses and the behind the scenes and make everything flow seamlessly for them. But what I realized I wasn't doing was creating content for myself and sharing the stories about how I serve. So I joined Content by Design with the intent to start to share more content. And what I realized was that the lessons in Content by Design actually apply to more than, air quote, just social media content. Pretty soon I was using it in my emails, proposals, articles. I do some ghostwriting for some clients and articles. And I was really able to fine tune my own voice as well as better understand my clients' voices when I'm writing for them. The biggest win in my own business, though, was that as soon as I applied what I learned in Content by Design to my proposal writing, I had a 100% close rate, successfully closing rate on every single proposal, and I filled my books, so there's now a wait list to work with me. I couldn't recommend Content by Design enough. You need this course.
Welcome to Unjaded. This is your straight talk, shoot from the hip, wrapped in a little bit of love, Human Design for Business podcast. We talk a lot here about clarifying your message so that you can bring in paying clients with ease. And ease is different from easy. Stick around to find out how we roll here. I'm your host, Vicki Dixon. I am a 2-4 emotional manifesting generator, light on the emotional, and I'm a quad right in human design. In real speak, I am an entrepreneur of 30 plus years. I've had every kind of business there is, and I always say that business is my love language. I can't wait to dive in with you here on the podcast. Today on Unjaded, we are going to be talking about your human design profile and how it relates to creating content that your ideal clients are actually going to hear in order to hire you so that you can make more money and have your big impact. So this episode kind of came about because we had a conversation in my BG5 class last week about profile. And there were a few people saying that, I have this client and they're a 4-6 profile or whatever profile, and they don't behave as that profile. Why would that be? Because your human design profile is the role you play in the movie of your life. It's who you came here to be, how you, the character that you are as you move through your life. So you would think that that would be really innate and natural, right? And to a degree it is, but I really think it's more natural for you once you accept and start living your human design. So let's unpack that. Think about when you were a child, all of the things that you were told by the world at large were wrong with you. Most often, those are the things that are the most natural to you, right? The things that came naturally because you were just a kid and you were just being who you came here to be. But let's say you're a 3rd-line profile. You were bumping into life. You were probably clumsy. You were breaking things. Maybe you broke yourself. I mean, I have a 4-year-old granddaughter who's a 3-5 and she's already broken her leg. And she's always banging herself up and getting hurt. And that's just how she's going to move through life. And that's going to go for other things in her life as well, not just her physical banging herself around, right? Because 3rd lines have to learn through experience. I'm also married to a 3rd-line profile for 32 years. And, he was so conditioned away from all of the ways he was screwing up for his whole life. 3rd-line profiles can really feel like they're getting things all wrong. And they can have a lot of shame around that. So as you've stepped into your adult life, why would you want to be that? Of course, you're going to try to cover that up. No, you're not going to show up in your content as someone who gets it wrong all the time, because that just feels like people aren't going to buy from you. But that's actually when people are going to buy for you, when you show up as all of yourself. So there are 6 profiles in human design, which if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know that, but I'm just going to run through them because my philosophy is no man left behind. So we're going to go through the 6 profiles, and then each of those profiles, we put 2 together and we end up with 12 full profiles, but that's way too much for a podcast episode. So I'm going to link a blog post for you in the show notes where I go through all 12 profiles more in depth. First line profiles. If you are a first line profile, then you are a researcher. You're an investigator. My husband's profile is the 1-3. And let me tell you, sometimes I'm having my morning coffee and he comes downstairs and he's like, do you want to hear what I just found out? And I'm like, sweet Jesus, no. Because he will have gone really, really, really deep into whatever he was researching. And I'm putting that in air quotes, right? But it's how he moves through life. He really needs to have all of the information. I recently talked to a reflector about coming on the podcast, and he's a 5-1 profile. And the one side of his profile shows up that he needs all of the details in order to do anything. So we're talking about him guesting on my podcast, and I'm just very much like, oh yeah, let's wing it. I have not a single one line in my human design. So I'm like, yeah, I just like completely wing it and we'll just go off the cuff and he's like, no, I can't do that. I need to have everything planned out in my life. And that is perfectly a one-line thing. So that's who your people need you to be. If you're a one-line profile, your people want to hear about your research. They want to hear about what you know. They want to hear your expert opinion. The point of that whole one line of yours is to share it with others. It's not just to collect all this information for yourself. So, you might be following these formats and templates and gurus who are telling you, don't give people too much information. But that's what you're here to do. That's what people go to you for. So this is why you leverage your own human design instead of following templates and buying all of those formulas and people who are telling you to do things some way other than your talents and gifts lead you to do it. It's coming. If you're tired of being a slave to the algorithm and you're really ready to claim your place in the online space, then this message is for you. I'm getting ready to launch another live round of the Content by Design course, where you learn to leverage your human design so that you can create content that draws your ideal clients to you with ease, without feeling yucky or salesy, and definitely without being a slave to the algorithm. We work on blog posts and email sequences and podcast episodes and social media posts and all of the things, because no matter what you're creating, it needs to come from who you are here to be, what you're here to say, how you're here to say it, and who you're here to say it to. Get on the wait list. The link is in the show notes for you. Line 2s. So I am a line 2, and as a line 2, we are called the naturals, which isn't really super helpful in how are you here to show up in life. But here's the thing for you if you're a line 2. You have no idea what you're good at. I have some friends who are second lines as well. And it's actually laughable, because I will hear them. We have Voxer threads, and I'll hear them talking about, not knowing what to do or not knowing if their stage presence is going to be okay. And it's like, it's going to be magical. Like if we could just trust as line 2s that it's going to be magical when it comes out of us, then we would be fine. But we are continually doubting ourselves. As a second line, you need time to hermit away. You need time to kind of marinate in your genius and allow it to be called from you. As a second line for you, it's all about what's being called out of you. There's a lot of projection on you because you might be good at a whole bunch of things. And people are always expecting you to do things just because you're good at them. But you are here to actually do what you're called to do. For you, the magic is always what's alive for you right now. And that doesn't mean that you're scattered. It doesn't mean that you maybe, go from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing and never choose a niche. But it may be a little bit harder for you to understand that you've niched even once you have niched. And what do your people need from you as a second line? Your people need for you to be ready for the call. Your people need for you to answer the call when you're called. When something is called out of you, when someone recognizes your genius, you got to give them that. That's what they're there for. That's why they're in your world. Third line profiles. We talked about them a little bit in the beginning. Third line profiles run fast and break things. You make all of the mistakes. Again, that's in air quotes. There are no such thing as mistakes for you. And chances are you've internalized quite a bit of shame around getting things wrong. But remember that when you are making mistakes, again in air quotes, when you are getting things wrong, you're actually doing that because you are the ultimate experiential learner. The only way for you to learn is through experience. The phrase that my husband probably has heard more times than he can count in his life is, do you have to try everything for yourself? And now I'm like, could you just turn around and say, yes, hell yes. As a third line profile, you absolutely have to try everything for yourself. You only learn through your experience. And you have those experiences of life. You get things wrong. You play with life. You bump up against it. It bumps up against you so that you can bring others on the journey, so that you can tell others, this is the way that doesn't work. This is the way that's going to work better. Think how beautiful that can be in your content and in your business. If you are a third line profile, I wish you could see me talking with my hands. I want you to let floodgates open and share all of the things that you have learned through experience, because that's what we need from you. And that's what's going to resonate. Fourth line profiles. This is the unconscious side of my profile. So I'm a 2-4. Fourth line profiles are all about the community. We build foundations, we build communities, our networks and our opportunities will come from our existing networks most often. So we are not likely to be the people who are going to get a job interview with someone in another country that has never been acquainted with us before. I'm searching for a VA right now. I'm searching for a few VAs right now. And I'm reaching out and I'm doing ads on Fiverr and I'm, all of these things that we do. And none of it is sitting well with me. And last night, someone popped into my Instagram inbox and she's been following along. We've been chatting through DMs off and on. She's in the human design space. And I had no idea she was a VA. And she messaged me and she's like, I don't know if this is going to resonate with you, but this is actually what I do and I would love to work with you. And I'm like, the angels were singing, hallelujah, sweet Jesus, because this is exactly how I am meant to hire people for my team, people from within my existing networks. Does that mean that you can never go outside of your networks as a fourth line profile? No, of course not. But you just will find that it's effortless for you to move through life, leveraging opportunities within your existing network, and you will build community. You absolutely will build community. There was a fourth line profile in my last round of content by design. Actually, there were a lot of fourth line profiles, 4-6s specifically, in the last round of content by design. And she was really in a place of hiding from her community. She's also a 6, right? 4-6 profile. And she's on the roof. She's just getting ready to come off the roof. So around age 50, if you're a 6-line profile, is super, super, super uncomfortable. And she said to me, I understand that I need my community and I understand that I'm hiding from them right now. But once she's ready to step back into her community, the magic will just unfold for her because that's fourth line energy. Fifth line profiles. So fifth line profiles, if you're a fifth line, it's said that you're a heretic. I hate that languaging. I always describe it as you're the square peg trying to fit into the round hole. There is so much projection on you. You're looking out and you can see everything that's happening with your people, not with the whole world, but with your people. And people can project onto you that they want you to save them. You're a visionary leader. So there can be a lot of projection there. A lot of what you're seeing, they're not seeing the whole of you, even though you can see all of them. And you have a way, when it's not conditioned out of you, but it's probably been conditioned out of you, you have a way of saying the thing that most needs to be said. Now, I have been in the room with people. I'm the community manager at Bodygraph Chart in that community. And I have been in the room with fifth line profiles and I have brought them to tears with that statement. I have worked on content with fifth line profiles and said, what is the thing that you most long to say? And they say it. And I'm like, that is what you need to go and do. That is what your people need to hear. That is the thing that is going to get you hired. And that is what you're here to say to impact the people you're here to impact. And the tears start to flow. Because think about when you have something that you need to say and you're holding on to it in your body. You're trying to keep your mouth shut, biting your tongue. You can't let it get out of you. All of that tension in your body. And then when I come in and give permission, not that any of us needs permission, but sometimes we do. When I come in and give permission and say, that's actually what you have to say, how would it feel to let that come out of you? What needs to happen in order for you to feel comfortable, slightly uncomfortable, but safe in saying the thing that needs to be said? And it brings them to tears. Because as a fifth line profile, you have probably been so conditioned to believe that the things you say are wrong, and that the things you say are hurtful, and that the things you say are too blunt, and that you are arrogant and all of those things. And you are none of those things, my friend. I invite you to actually start to peel away the layers of that conditioning so that you can be the visionary leader that your people need you to be. Remember, it's not about everybody. You're not for everyone, especially as a fifth line profile, but you are specifically here for specific people who will follow you to the ends of the earth to hear your message. Sixth line profiles. Sixth line profiles are the role models eventually. So there are 3 phases in life for sixth line profiles. The first 30 years of your life, you are a third line profile. So you are running fast and breaking things. You're getting all the things wrong. You're making all the mistakes, and you get all of that conditioning and all of that shame internalized around that. And then the second 20 years, so from the time you're 30 to 50, you're integrating life's lessons. And this can be really uncomfortable too, because we call it on the roof in human design. So you're like up on the roof, looking out, seeing everything that's going on, and you wish you could jump in and people would listen to you, but nobody's listening to you. You have so much to share, but nobody's listening to you. So your job is to integrate your life's lessons. And what I would be talking about in your content at this phase of your life as a 6-line profile is the lessons that you are integrating. How are you integrating the lessons? What are you learning? You're starting to kind of warm people up to your role modelness. That's a new word, by the way. And then from 50 plus, you really are in the role model phase. So you really are here to show people the way. You are guiding us to a new paradigm. You are guiding us to a new way of living, a new way of being, a new way of building our businesses. And your content, we really need you to stand in that role model. We need you to show us the way. That's how we are going to respond to you. So like I said, there's 2 lines in your profile, right? There's going to be a conscious and an unconscious. So from this episode, you can take the 2 that are yours and add them together to come up with your whole profile. I will link in the show notes a blog post for you that goes through all 12 profiles. This is a big part of the Content by Design course. We spend one whole module on this profile because it is such a big piece of the content puzzle. Just think about it. It's like the ultimate piece of authenticity. If you are standing in who you're here to be, if you are playing the character you're here to play, of course your people are going to feel that from you. And if you're not, nothing that you say is going to land with them. So I'm kicking off the Content by Design course with a 3-part live masterclass series, and you're invited. The link is in the show notes for you, 100% free. It is not a big sales pitch. It is actually for you to understand who you're here to speak to and how to leverage your human design so that you can be confident in what you're speaking and you can turn all of this free content that you're creating into sales so that you make money in business and have the impact that you're here to have. The link is in the show notes to register for that free event. I will be doing 2 mini content audits on each and every call, and you do have to be there live to get in on the content audits, but there will be replays. So there's lots going on in the world of content creation and human design right now. Take part in the free event, and then if it feels aligned for you to join us in Content by Design, we're starting the first week in October, and I would love to have you in. The wait list is in the show notes for you.